Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. Happy Wednesday to you. I have a lot going on today. I have a grandbaby due any second now. I'm waiting for a phone call to know when to meet up with her because I'm taking the photos. So anyways, hopefully I can get this video done. But the other exciting thing going on is today is the day that the new mini catalog comes out. The mini catalog is chock full of great things for fall, for Christmas, holidays, for Thanksgiving, Halloween, and some all occasion stuff, and some of the designer series paper that is included in that selection is absolutely phenomenal. I wish I had a catalog to show you today. I haven't requested my mail. As an RVer, I don't get mail every day. I just kind of request it every now and then, and I haven't requested my mail, so I don't have my hands on catalog. But you can click on the link below to my blog, which will take you to my online store. Just click on what's new and you'll see the link to the new catalog, and you can peruse the catalog that way as well. So what are we doing today? Well, today we are going to make an inside pop-out fun fold card. It's so cute, and we're making a Halloween card. It's adorable, and I will definitely be sending this out to some family members and friends. And we're also I'm going to show you a sample of a fall card as well, using one of the new products and something that you've seen in the past. So bear with me for a moment while I shoo this fly away and turn down the camera, and we'll get started. Thanks for joining me today. Look what we are using today. This is the brand new, this is actually an online exclusive. It's called Playful Ghosts that has come out. It's perfect for Halloween. It's very simple. It doesn't have dies. I have a gnat in here, so if you see me shooing things around, it's this doggone gnat that's gotten in, and it's of course bothering me right now. I think it's attracted to my light. But anyways, this is Playful Ghosts. It's so adorable. I have some future videos that I'm already planning on making some cute cards with, but it's got a pumpkin, which is great for fall. It also, you can create masks with these pumpkins and create a cluster of them and then put them in the back of the pickup truck that's in the Filled with Fun or Filled with Happiness stamp set. There's lots of things that you can incorporate these pumpkins in, so I like that because it's kind of not just Thanksgiving. You can create this into a fall stamp. So then we have these cute little ghosts that are all dressed up for Halloween. So sweet. I love this set, and it's very simple to work with. So we're going to be creating with this today. We are also going to be using these colors. They kind of screamed candy corn. I'm actually one of those people who enjoys candy corn. I know a lot of people think it's gross. I like it. So we'll be using black, basic black, pumpkin pie, crushed curry, and of course your basic white. We're also using a strip of a window sheet, and we're going to be using this gorgeous dotted 3D embossing folder. I love this folder. I'm going to show you the two ways that I used it to emboss some of the pieces that are going to go in our card. And then I used a variety of alcohol markers to do my coloring, and I'll show you how I did that on my video. So let's get started. Let me move these things out of the way a moment so we can start with the fun part, creating our card base. So I have lost this twice, so I am putting it somewhere safe. It's so clear that it's hard to see. So let me make sure my camera is in your image good. All right. So we're going to start out with just a very basic base, and I'm going to make the base of my card in black. So it's going to be an 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. So just your basic card base. So I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. And don't forget, you can click on the link below to get to my blog, and that will give you all of my cutting and scoring measurements so that you know how to put this card together when you do it on your own. So there's our base. Now we're going to cut our front layers. I'm going to work on the front first. So we're going to cut our front layers. So you're going to need a piece of basic white that's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So I'm going to just do the 3 7/8 so that I have a bigger piece of paper for something else, by 5 1/8. So that's going to layer nicely on the front of our card, just like that. Now, I've already cut these, but you're also going to want to cut 3 pieces, 1 in pumpkin, actually 6, 2 in pumpkin, 2 in curry, and 2 in white. Oh, that gnat. And then the dimensions for that are going to be 1 5/8 by 3 3/4. So I already cut and embossed mine, but I want to show you what I did. So if you look at this, I laid them together on the embossing folder and then ran them through. Let me show you that embossing folder again. So you want 2 sets. One set's going to go on the front and then one set's going to go on the inside. So what I did is I embossed the ones on the outside sort of on this side, and then I decided to emboss the ones for the inside kind of on the other side, so that on the outside I get that little spiral going this way, and on the inside I get that little spiral going that way. So you just cut your paper and then just lay it in your embossing folder side by side. That way they're all kind of meet up when you lay them on the paper. So I already did that for you, so you didn't have to watch me do that. But again, those pieces are going to be 1 5/8 by 3 3/4, and you're going to need 2 of each color. All right, so we're going to set that aside. So that is going to be layered on the front like this. All right, the next piece you're going to need is a black and white layer for the front of the card. I've already cut mine. That's going to be 2 1/2 by 4, and then a slightly smaller one in white that is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And I've already stamped it and colored it, but look how cute. So this is going to go on the front of our card. All right, so now for the inside of the card, you're going to need your other 3 pieces that you cut, which are right here. And you're going to need, actually I forgot one step, you're also going to need a piece of basic white. Let me see if I have one already cut to go underneath that. That is not going to be big enough, so we'll just go ahead and cut one, and that's going to be 4 1/4 by, or 4 by 5 1/4, and that's just your basic kind of inside. So 4 by, and you don't have to add this layer. I like to add it because I put it on the front. I like to have it on the inside, but that's going to go on the inside of the card. And you could actually cut 2 of the 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I'm just going to do that because why not? Make your instructions easier. So just cut 2 of those that are 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And it just allows a little bit extra of the black outline to show, which I think looks kind of cool. All right, so the inside of the card is going to have these layered on. And now you're going to want to create the mechanism that is going to make our pop-out card work. So you're going to grab, again, some basic black. I'm going to see if I have some scraps. I think this will work. And you're going to want to make your mechanism 1 1/2 by 4 1/4. Oh, this is 4 1/4, perfect. So we're going to cut it 1 1/2. Little tip if you haven't seen this before, I added a piece of white copy paper to the inside strip with some glue dots of my cutting arm. So look, when I go to cut dark colored paper, I can see all my measurements, which I love. So if you're having to stop halfway or whatever, this makes it a lot easier. So there's a little tip for you. So once you have this piece of 1 1/2 by 4 1/4 cut, you're going to put it on the long side, and we're going to do some scoring. So we're going to first score at a 1/2 inch. I'm moving my cutting blade down, so a 1/2 inch. All right, and then you're going to go over to 1 1/4 inches. And then you're going to go over to 2 inches. And then you're going to go over to 3 1/2 inches. All right, so now once you have those score lines done, and I know it's hard to see, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines. So the second, third, and fourth score line, you're going to create an X, a scored X from that first score line to the third score line, and then you're going to do it again in the opposite way. Okay, so again, you're going to create a score line from the edge of the first score line to the third score line. And this is that first 1/2 inch section that we scored. So those are the sections that you're going to create the X. So to do that, you could use your simply scored, or since I have this out, I'm just going to line up my 2 corners and score it. And then I'm going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. I'm just going to line up my score lines and score. Okay, so I know you can't see that very well, but we have a score line here and a score line here. And now all we have to do is push those 2 corners in, and it folds our mechanism perfectly. So that's what we're looking for our mechanism. And just give it a nice little burnish with the bone folder. We'll be adhering that to the inside of our card in a little bit, but I like to have it all prepped ahead of time. So that's our mechanism piece. And then you're also going to take a window sheet and you're going to cut it 1/4 inch wide by 1.5 inches long, and you're going to need 2 of those. Now you could do this with just one little pop out. We're making 2 pop outs today, so we need 2 of these. And the hardest thing I have a problem with these window sheets is I lose them, so put them somewhere easy to find on your work surface, because they're easy to disappear. Look, I've already lost one. There it is. So I am going to lay these right, and they're hard to pick up, by the way. So I'm going to lay these with my mechanism right there, so off camera, so I don't lose them. I have lost them. All right, so we have that done, and then the last 2 pieces that we need are the panels for the inside. So we want to do one that's in black at 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Let's see, that's 5.5 inches wide, so I'm going to do 2.5 inches, and that's so it is the same height of your card. So we've got 2.5 by 5.5. And then we're going to do a white panel that's slightly smaller. So that's going to be, let's see, if this is long enough. It is 5.25 by 2.25. Shave a little bit of this off by 2.25. So I just made it slightly smaller. Just like that. Okay. So that is the piece for our inside. So that should be all of our cutting. So let's go ahead and decorate this panel first, because then we'll have all of the panels decorated and we can get to assembly. So on the inside of this, I think I'm going to add Trick or Treat. So I'm going to grab my Memento ink and do it in black. You know I don't stamp anything straight, so I am going to pull this down here so I can hopefully see it a little better. All right, that's pretty good. I don't even have a piece of scrap paper out, so we're hoping for some success today. I'm trying not to get a lot of stuff out because I know I may have to zip out of here pretty soon, so waiting for that phone call. My daughter wanted birth photos, and it's very expensive to hire someone, so she honored me by asking me to do that for her, and I'm so honored, and I hope I do a good job taking those photos, and I hope I don't get too emotional being in that delivery room with her. I think it'll be fine. She is doing a natural birth in a birthing center, so it's going to be quite the experience. I had all 3 of my children naturally, and I know she can do it. I just hope it's not too crazy in there. So, all right, so all I've done is a simple trick or treat and these pumpkins. So I am grabbing my light pumpkin pie alcohol marker, and I'm just going to quickly color this in. I love these alcohol markers because they just make coloring so easy. I'm usually pretty careful when I get around the stem, but then once you get past the edges, really you're just coloring it all in. The beauty of the alcohol markers is that it doesn't leave streaks kind of like regular markers if you go over an area more than once. And you can get that with colored pencils too, unless you're going to use them with water. You get a lot of streaks. So with these markers, you don't get that, which I love. So that is the light. Then I grab some lemon lime twist, and I'm going to go ahead and color in these tiny little stems while that pumpkin pie is evaporating. Super simple to do this. And now I'm grabbing the dark pumpkin pie, and I'm just going to highlight some of these lines in the middle of the pumpkin, just like that. It just takes a couple of minutes to color these. And I'm going to give it a second to, you know, while we're giving it a second to evaporate, I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto my back layer, my black layer. It's hard to say. I'm getting this silicone craft sheet out because I made a mess the other day not pulling it out. So I'm just going to layer this on here and adjust it just a little bit. Okay, so now that this alcohol marker has had a moment to dry, to evaporate, you want the alcohol to evaporate. Now I just simply go over it again with the light pumpkin pie, and it's going to soften those lines that I added and look like we did some shading. So those alcohol markers are fabulous. So that piece is done. So let's go ahead and start putting our card together. So I'm going to start with the outside. So the first thing I want to do is layer these pieces here on the front. So as you can see, I did this in a pattern, so I just want to make sure all my patterns line up, and we're going to leave a small edge around each one. I love this 3D embossing folder, and you can emboss in a lighter color and actually sponge over color. There's so many things you can do. I believe I did a video. Whoops. Make sure you don't change the orientation of your piece of paper here. But you can color the embossing folder before you put the paper in, and it will emboss the colors onto the paper. There's so many things you can do with these embossing folders. They're super fun to play with. And as you can see, I didn't use any designer series paper. I essentially just created my own. They actually didn't put out any fall designer series paper, or not fall, they do have fall, Halloween specific designer series paper. They didn't do any of that, but that's okay because we can create our own, right? So just putting this down. You want to make sure you put enough adhesive on here though, because you do have a texture. Look at this. I put this one on backwards. So be mindful. I tend to turn the direction of my paper while I'm gluing it. That's my problem. I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to put a little more glue on here. You do want to make sure, since this has a lot of divots, that you put a good amount of glue on it, or use some Stampin' Seal Plus if you have it. Just because, let's make sure we do that the right way this time, Jill. Because there are so many bumps on this, your glue, if you don't put a lot on, it could be in a bump and then you'll have a spot that doesn't have any adhesive. So just be mindful of that. All right, we've already got glue on this one. Now it's all over my fingers. Did I mention I'm a messy stamper sometimes? You should see my workspace when I stamp. Oh, what a mess. Okay, so those are on there. So now we're just simply going to layer that onto the front of our card. I tend to like the liquid glue because I like to reposition things. As you can see, I sometimes mess them up. If I use Stampin' Seal, I may not be able to take that moment to fix my boo-boos, so I do like the option with the liquid glue to be able to move things around. And that's why I tend to use it more. All right, so that is on there. So now this was the piece for the front of the card. Look how cute, so cute. So I think I'm going to put this one on with dimensionals. pop it up a little bit. Now this card will be a little thicker than a regular card because you've got that mechanism inside. So you don't want to put too many big things on the outside because it's just going to make it bulkier. So get that little piece of paper. Come on. All right, so I decided to, all right, I have too many things in my hand. I've decided to add dimensionals onto this piece just to pop this up because I think it'll be fun. I have glue on my fingertips, so it's sticking to everything. All right. All right, now I am going to try to get this straight the first time. Okay, that looks cute. All right, so there is our front piece. We're just going to glue this down. And I'm using a good amount of glue because it is going on a bumpy surface. And I'm just going to center that on there and give it a good press because it does have a bumpy surface. All right, so there's the outside of our card. So now it's time to work on the inside. So we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to start out by putting these layers on here. Let's see, let's make sure we're doing this the right way. Yes. A little frog in my throat. He needs to get out of there. All right. The nice thing about the inside is as long as you have everything perfectly straight here, nobody's going to see this side over here. So it takes a little pressure off. I love this embossing folder. I love embossing folders that do a lot of the creative work for you. Gives it just a little extra wow factor instead of having it plain. Now you could just emboss the outside and not emboss the inside, but I really like the embossing. Okay, so now that we have that glued down, we are going to put it on the inside of our card. Just like that. A little glue there. Okay, so there is the inside. See how it kind of carries through? I love that. So now I'm going to show you how to put the mechanism in there. So as you saw earlier, we scored that middle part into an X and folded it down. So the first thing we're going to do is adhere this down to the card. Now you could use liquid glue, but or regular adhesive, but because I put a texture on those layers, I'm going to use tear and tape because it's super strong and I know it will hold really well. So I am going to put 2 layers of tear and tape on here, just like that. And while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and put tear and tape on this square panel. This is where our card we decorated is going to go. I know it's going to get a lot of playing around with, so I'm going to go ahead and use the tear and tape. You don't have to. It will stick just fine with liquid glue. And then I'm also going to use, now this is important, I'm going to use tear and tape on this section because it gets a lot of stress when you open the card, and I'm putting it really close to the score line right here because that's the part of the card, whoops, you could potentially see when you open the card. So I'm putting a good layer there. I'm actually going to do, I think 2's enough. I'm just going to do 2. All right, so I'm going to give those a good burnish. All right, so once you have those on there, I'm going to go ahead and peel off this paper on this small tab here next to our little triangle. So I'm going to peel those off. This is a great little thing to use to take your pick tool for, because you can get under there and just kind of pry them up, which I love to be able to do. I put this one super close to the edge, so it's kind of hard to pry up. There we go. So if you get it right under the paper, then you can just kind of pull it away. Makes it super easy. And then do the same thing for the other side. Pull that out, and so there's all your adhesive. So once you have those off, you're going to grab your card and you're going to put the edge, I know this is hard to see, it's black on black, but I'm putting the edge of this right before the crease, kind of about right where the middle of the card is. Just kind of eyeball where the middle is and then push it down. Just like that, okay? So now we've got that placed on there. I'm going to go ahead and free up the pieces of paper on this panel here. So I'm going to just put my take your pick tool right under there and pull those off. Anything that's hanging over the side I can bend backwards. All right, and so now I'm going to lay it flat again, and I'm just going to close the card and give it a good crease. All right, so now we have this. So now we're going to go ahead and peel these off. Or put your liquid glue if that's what you're using. This is the last part that you want to kind of make sticky because you don't want to close your card on it. Now this is the panel that goes on the inside, so what I'm doing is just making sure the top and bottom edges line up, and then I'm just going to close the card. Okay? See? That wasn't hard at all. So let me get these little pieces of paper out of the way. Else we'll have them everywhere. All right, so now what we have left that I've managed to not lose are these tiny little window sheets. So this is a great thing to use your mini glue dots for. So one glue dot actually fits perfectly across these little tabs. So what you want to do is go back to your triangle piece that folded, and you're putting your triangles, you're putting your clear pieces on the front portion right here, the front portion of your triangle. So it's going to be this panel here and this panel here. All right, so this one has a glue dot on it, so I'm going to just pop this on there, right there. Look, I didn't give it enough time to dry, so we'll just do it that way. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my other one and put one glue dot on that one. Okay. And I'm going to put it right there. Actually, I'm glad that came off so I can show you exactly where they went. So see if you can see they went right on that first triangle. All right, let's fold this back down and put it where it's supposed to go. And as you can see, when the card's closed, they're turned. When it's opened, they're out. Okay? So let's go ahead and burnish this down better. All right. Normally I would let this set a minute before I played with it. So, come on. All right. Let's get this working, Jill. There we go. All right. Just had to fix that. Okay, so that is how our pieces move. So when it's closed, they're out of the way, and when it's open, they come forward. All right, so what I did earlier is I colored these cute little pieces, and as you can, I know you can't see it, but I also color in all my Ghosts with Wink of Stella. So, but I use Pumpkin Pie Light and Dark. I use Daffodil Delight for the yellow, and I use the Lemon Lime Twist for the little tabs, and then Smoky Slate for the gray. And then I used a tiny little bit of pale petal pink for the cheeks, and then I used the color lifter over the cheeks just to lighten them just a little bit, so they're very, very subtle. And then Pecan Pie is used for the broom. So that's how I created those. So what you want to do is, now that we have our inside piece created, so we have these 2 window sheets. So what I'll do is grab my take your pick tool, and I'm going to put a couple of those on my tab. And the most important thing to remember when you're putting these cards together is you don't want, when the card's closed, you don't want anything above the top of the card. All right, so this one, it looks good, so I'm just gonna lay this little ghost here, and then I'm going to grab a couple more dots, and I'm just lifting them up with my take your pick tool. You could pop them right directly on there, but I like to do it this way. Okay, and I'm going to put him right here. All right, watch. So when your card is closed, they go up into the mechanism, and then when you open the card, they pop out. How cute is that? It's just a fun little surprise. You have plenty of room to write. Adorable, right? Not too hard to make. Once you make a few, you kind of learn the ins and outs of what to do and not to do. So there's our first card, our Halloween card. It says Happy Halloween and Trick or Treat, and has these cute little friends that pop out. So I love how using the embossing folder just gave it that extra texture and made it very interesting. So let me show you the next card. Let's get this out of the way. So our next card is a fall card. Let me show you the products for this. This is using the Caring Leaves stamp set. This is in the new mini catalog. I love it. It says, "Some things never change. You're simply the best." What I love about this is you can create a fall card with it, but you could also use it all year round. And it's very simple. There's no dies. You don't need them. You can fussy cut. I love that it has these top kind of layer stamps because you can emboss them. You could use a different color. You can use tone on tone. You can really create some pretty cards with this. And then I paired it with some other new products. I layered it with Mossy Meadow and Old Olive, but I used, for this card base, this gorgeous paper. I love this paper. It is the Seasons of Elegance, and it comes in several shades. As you can see, I used the green because it looked very fall, but it comes in gold, it comes in this beautiful blue, and it comes in red. So it's great for all of your holiday cards. That paper is simply gorgeous. And then I also layered it with this. These are the Regal Distressed patterns. I'm trying to get it open here for you. All of the traveling we do, I have to keep my paper very carefully in its packaging. So this is all gold embossed paper, super, super pretty, and it layers well with many of the holiday papers that are in this series of products. So here is the card. So what I did is I stamped in crushed curry, cherry cobbler, and mossy meadow, and then I embossed in gold. And I know it's hard to see, but I did emboss the texture of the leaves in gold and added some embellishments that are also in the mini catalog. And look, when you open it up, how pretty is that? So I did the same thing. I stamped a variety of the leaves and then embossed them in gold, and then I added some of these gold leaves that are in the new catalog. Let me show you those. These are the embellishments that I used on the front. They're gold textured adhesive back dots. They're really, really pretty. And then these leaves, these are the woven golden leaves. You get 75 of them. There's various shapes, and they're sort of a metally mesh. They're very sturdy, and they look super pretty layered. So, and then I also use the wild wheat ribbon that is in the new mini catalog. Really, really pretty. It's kind of lacy in the middle, so it gives it that kind of rustic feel. So very, very pretty card, especially for fall. So that is card number 2. And then our last card, I used the Pocket Thoughts stamps. Where did I put them? And the Simply Said stamps. So Pocket Thoughts is where we got the cupcake, and I used the stylish shapes and just die cut the largest circle and then stamped my cupcake on there. And then I used some Wink of Stella on it as well to give it that sparkle. And then I used some embellishments that I had that match. It's the In Color embellishments. These are, well, I don't have them in their package, so I can't tell you what they're called, but super, super pretty. They're iridescent, what are they called? Sequins. So it says, let's celebrate. Look at this. Isn't that cute? And then I used the happy birthday. Actually, I guess I didn't use Simply Said. I think the Let's Celebrate comes from Simply Said. So that Let's Celebrate comes from the Simply Said set. And if you need some like everyday go-to things, this is a really great stamp set to have. This is in the regular annual catalog. And then of course Pocket Thoughts. I didn't use the Pocket Thoughts dies. I didn't need that. But I did use the double oval punch. It's 2 layers. So you get the smaller oval and then you get the large scalloped oval, and it works perfectly for Lots of Love. So I actually stamped the Lots of Love and the hearts, and then I punched it out, and I used the petal pink and the crumb cake. And then the designer series paper is the 2024 In Color paper pack, which I have. Here we go. So this is the 2024-2026 In Color 6x6 paper, and I use the stripe design. So it's really happy and bright, and I love how these pop out. So there you go. There's your 3 pop-out cards, and I think we've covered all the bases with birthday, fall, and Halloween. So it's a super fun way to make some cards. It's very relaxing to make this card, and I love at the end being able to open it up and see everything pop out just the way you want it. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already, so that you get notification each time a video airs. And remember, you can click the link below to go to my blog, and it will have all of the cutting and scoring instructions for you. I thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I will be watching a baby boy be delivered today. Fingers crossed that he's going to come and surprise us today. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much, and happy crafting. Bye.